Here's the good news for Kansas City. Rashee Rice looked like a number one when he got hurt. Worthy now has established himself as a big time player. They finally have the receiver situation kind of sorted out. They're going to have to figure out tight end. And they're going to draft a left tackle with their first pick. So Kansas City's going to be fine. Let's not, for the record, Brady didn't lose. I mean, one of the great things about Tom Brady is that Brady just didn't lose big very often. And I think so much that's where Brady's underrated. The other day I had him on the show on Friday. Tom just wouldn't call plays if he thought it was trouble. He's the greatest quarterback ever. He and Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage. They're just either it's smart, either whatever, it's cognitive, it's homework, prep, whatever it is. But I look at this game tonight. It's not going to tarnish Mahomes. And I'm not saying that. But he has now two blowout losses where they look lost in Super Bowls. Do you look at him just slightly differently? Because pregame, we're talking about, is he going to be in that? Are we going to start struggling with the argument? And you kind of watch this thing and you're like, man, they didn't move the chains when Philadelphia was
Yeah, to
rolling.
me, he had a long way to go to catch Tom. I mean, Tom played till he was 45, won a Super Bowl in his 40s. He beat Mahomes twice. I think that talk was a little premature because even if he had won tonight, he would have won four. Tom has seven. The other thing is Patrick Mahomes, let's say he had won tonight, wasn't not only he wasn't the best quarterback in the NFL, there were multiple quarterbacks better than him. We talk about because of his resume is so much better than Lamar, Josh, and Joe,
Right.
that he gets put ahead of them, and rightfully so. But just on a weekly basis, I mean, Joe Burrow was elite this year. Lamar Jackson was better this year than he was last year, and he won the MVP. And Josh Allen literally just won the MVP. But he beats them in playoff games, and that has an outweighed uh, importance. So I'm all for it. But I just think Patrick Mahomes, I think right where he sits right now, and he's 30 years old, so he has a long way to go, is much more in the Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, I vividly remember the pick six he had in the Sean Payton Super Bowl in 2009, the Tracy Porter.
Yeah.
He played was it Seattle in their first Super Bowl, and they won 70-0 or whatever the score. I mean, they housed them when the first play was snapped over. So it's, Peyton Manning had some weird playoff moments. Tom's career is pretty unprecedented. And even Patrick is, like you said, I mean, the point differential in the two games, Tom didn't have those games. Now, I also think you can call plays for Patrick, and Patrick can do things in plays that gets him in situations when it's not going well. He's doing 360s and running into sacks. Tom Brady didn't have that. Tom had to, if he was under duress, the ball is either going to Julian Edelman or Gronk quick, or he's throwing the ball away or hitting the ground. He's not doing any of that. Patrick Mahomes, I don't want to say hero ball because for a lot of it, it works tonight. When it looks bad, it looks really, when it looks bad, it looks like he's playing like Russell Wilson or something tonight, right? Justin
Yeah.
Fields, and it's just way off.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm in the first half, my takeaway was, oh, Tom would engineer something here. Tom would get rid of the ball. Like I'm watching their routes. Tom would shorten the routes. Tom would go to the sidelines. Tom would say, in that first half, it was 24-0 at half, and everything looked the same. And that's where I think you see the difference with Brady and Mahomes. If Tom had back-to-back poor drives, he would go to the sidelines. He'd bark. He would on the fly just change stuff. And I mean, he said it again on my show Friday. Like, I go to the line. If I don't think if we're not lined up, I'm not calling that play. I'm audibling out of that play. I didn't see a lot of that with Mahomes. I think they just kind of stuck with what they were doing. At one point, they showed a shot from behind him, and they were running deep routes in the first half. And I was thinking, guys, you have to shorten every route. You got 2 seconds max to
I think
throw.
if they could do it over again, they would have tried to run the ball more early. They were passing it nonstop, and it just was not working. Even if you're only gaining a couple yards, it just settles everyone down. They didn't start running it to like the third or fourth drive, and it was already felt like it was too late. And I think they came in with the game plan that they could throw on them. And after that first play where I think they hit Juju for a first down, first play of the game, it was a disaster. Kelsey wasn't moving that fast. They were just out of sync. I mean, their tackles were getting
I think he
smoked.
retires. I
I
think
think
he
he does too.
retires. Do
Yeah.
you?
I think it's, I mean, I think he's a shell of himself physically. And listen, he's one of the all-time great NFL athletes. I think it really jumped out to me in that Houston Texans game when he had a huge play and he was running. It's like, whoa, he looks way slower.
Let me ask you this. You're Kansas City. Travis Kelce retires. He's off the books. Chris Jones, you go get Myles Garrett. Kelsey's gone. I mean, you're not paying your receivers. You're paying Mahomes, Chris Jones, Myles Garrett. Your receivers are all free. You're going to draft a left
Yeah.
tackle. You're not paying your running backs. You're not paying a lot of these young defensive players. You're not paying McDuffie yet. Why can't Kansas City look at this game and go, let's go get Myles Garrett?
I mean, I think they would think long and hard about it. I mean, they'll be in the mix.
I
Yeah, I mean,
would.
they've made trades like this before. They'll make them again. So yeah, I wouldn't be. They'll
John,
be sniffing around.
I mean, he may not be Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor or Aaron Donald. He is the closest thing to
I
it
think he's pretty close.
in the
I think
sport.
he's. I think if he played for the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Packers or the Niners, I think we would talk about him closer to that than he plays for the Browns. So he doesn't get quite discussed like that.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think there are these players. How often, and he's still, I think, in his prime.
Oh,
He's in great
freak.
shape. How often in your lifetime is Reggie White available? Reggie White was available because the owner of the Eagles was so
Yeah.
cheap. He was asking players to pay for equipment, if you remember. This was pre Jeffrey Lurie. It was a mess. I think the owner had hired Rich Kotite. He let Reggie White go. He was just a mess as an owner. It's like Myles Garrett, Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo already allowed Kansas City to draft Mahomes and Worthy. And by the way, Trent McDuffie. I mean, they moved up for Trent McDuffie. Like if I'm Buffalo, I go buy Myles Garrett. I figure out a way to make it work. I'm not paying James Cook. I'm not paying my tight end Kincaid. I'm not paying Campbell the receiver. I mean, I don't know. I look up Myles Garrett and I'm watching the Eagles tonight. And if I'm Kansas City or Buffalo, I'm like, guys, how do we make up ground considerably in an off season? This is a weak draft. It can't be the draft.
Yeah.
I just think I kept saying tonight watching this, I'm like, if Myles Garrett's agent should feel
I would
great.
throw the NFC North teams in there as well. The Packers. I know the Lions have Aiden Hutchinson, but I did want two of them. I would throw the Vikings too if they end up not going with Sam Darnold and they let Sam Darnold go somewhere else and they're going to go with JJ McCarthy. They should be all over Myles Garrett as well. So I think the teams that are drafting in the 20s, not only are every single one of those teams on the phone with the Cleveland Browns already, I think they've already made like substantial offers. Like just to let you know, our starting offers are two ones and a two. We're open for business. Counter offer us. We got to. You see our 53-man roster. You see our draft picks. If you want more, shoot me an email. But that's where we start, and you guys come back at us because I think clearly the Browns don't want egg on their face. Like you never want to be the person trading great players who, like you said, this is not a fat, overweight, aging guy. I mean, he is a physical
Oh,
freak. He's like
God.
LeBron of football, but he was
Yeah.
smart about it. He handled it in a classy way. Then he went to the media row or whatever and just kind of doubled down in just in a very measured way. Sometimes these can feel a little like, ugh, this is weird. I was like, yeah, I respect this guy. I wouldn't want to play in Cleveland either if I was him. Right? I mean, I have an opportunity to be an all-time great. I'm stuck here. We also have the situation of Deshaun Watson's anchor contract, you know, and I don't see the playoffs coming for the foreseeable future. We got Joe Flacco lightning in a bottle. When's that happening again? Probably not. And if you're Cleveland, you can ship him out. You can kind of reset while you have this Deshaun Watson albatross of a contract for another $100+ million on the books. You got the number 2 pick. You trade Myles Garrett, and you kind of restart your franchise.